Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
In the silence of the night where shadows softly play, a voice emerges gently guiding minds astray. Rob McConnell calls to us from a realm unseen. The X-Zone beckons softly where dreams blend with the keen. With lies, he crafts a tapestry of stories beneath an endless sky. In over 35 years of tales that twist and turn, each word a flicker sparking fires, igniting hearts that yearn. Dare to believe he softly pleads in this place divine, where fact is just a mirror.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Niagara, Ontario, Canada, where we explore the mysteries of the world, one question at a time. Joining me this hour is Jeff Danilek, a fascinating author, speaker, and lifelong researcher into the unexplained. Jeff is the creator of Our Curious World, a platform and series of books that dive into everything from ghosts to angels to UFOs, the afterlife, time travel, and ancient mysteries, and so much more. With the unique ability to approach the paranormal and the metaphysical with the grounded curiosity and critical mind, Jeff invites readers and listeners to explore the big questions. What happens when we die? Are we alone in the universe? Can science and spirituality coexist? And, of course, Jeff's quest for the truth. Tonight we'll dive into these questions and more, X-Zone Nation, including Jeff's most compelling research, mind-bending mysteries, and what really might be hiding behind the veil of this world and the next. His website, OurCuriousWorld.com. I encourage all our listeners to check it out after the show. And once again, as always, Jeff, welcome back to the X-Zone. Great having you with us again. It's been way too long, my friend.
Yeah, I agree, Rob. It's been a long, long time. It's good to be back, man.
Jeff, for those listeners who may not have heard you the last time you were with us, what sparked you and your interest into the unexplained and the mysteries of our world?
Well, I don't know. It's when I was a kid, I was really into like the Bermuda Triangle and UFOs and Bigfoot, and I guess I just never really outgrew it. It's just as I got older, I thought maybe there's something more to it than just kind of having fun with it, and so that's when I started to really get serious about looking into these things, and it just kind of grew on me.
How did your journey as an author and researcher into the paranormal and spirituality begin? Like you were talking about the Bermuda Triangle and other aspects of the paranormal. But what was it that actually kicked it off? What was that moment where you said, there's more to this than meets the eye? This I need to check out.
Well, it's kind of a strange voyage I've been on. I got into evangelical Christianity when I was about 21 years old. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of got into this whole world of ghosts and angels and demons and all this stuff that goes with that world. And then I kind of came out of it and went into some other spiritual paths. And all of it kind of came together. I just kind of saw this whole other world existing out there, mm-hmm. not in necessarily in a religious context, but in a spiritual context. And it just seems like all this stuff sort of fits together as a kind of the realm of the unknown that we don't really understand. And so at some point it just occurred to me that this is the route I want to go down and just kind of see where this rabbit hole takes me.
Jeff, what is the mission behind Our Curious World, and what do you hope your readers will take away from it?
Well, the whole idea of Our Curious World is to explore these different mysteries from a more objective perspective. I want people to not just be aware of what's going on out there, but I'm not trying to convince them. I want them to think for themselves, but I try to give them a perspective that looks at both sides of it. I can understand the problems with some of these different phenomena, but I can also appreciate the evidences for them. So I give it to the reader to sort of decide what works for them and what doesn't, and if they don't believe it, that's fine. I'm not here to proselytize anybody or make them believe what I believe, but I just think it's such a fascinating subject that people seem to really get drawn to it and want to learn more.
You've written extensively about ghosts and hauntings. What's your personal belief? Are ghosts real?
Yeah, I believe they are. I think that I believe that the personality survives the death of the brain. I think that consciousness is immutable. I think it's eternal. And I think that some people just kind of get stuck when they pass. They have some reason they don't want to move on, and they kind of get stuck in that kind of in-between place between the spiritual realm and the physical world, and they're sort of trapped there until they can figure out how to get out of there or kind of work their way through it. But that's kind of what I think a ghost is. It just makes sense to me.
What are some of the most compelling ghost stories or investigations that you've come across during all the research that you've done over the years?
Well, I'm not a ghost hunter per se. What I do is I follow them around a little bit and see how they work, but I don't actually sit there and do the haunting investigations and things. But I don't know if I haven't personally seen a ghost, and I'm open to it. So I guess believing is not necessarily seeing. But I do talk to some of these paranormal investigators. I've hung out with the guys from TAPS a little bit on the Queen Mary, and some of the stories they come up with are just fascinating. I think some of the best stuff I've seen, the most persuasive things I've seen, has been stuff that's caught on security cameras, where all of a sudden you'll have this entity just walking through a parking garage at 2 o'clock in the morning, and those things to me I find the most fascinating kinds of evidence out there. I'm still waiting for the day that I encounter a ghost myself, but it hasn't happened yet. As soon as it will, though, I'll give you a call.
What are some of the most compelling stories that you've heard from these other investigators?
Well, I have a friend here in Denver. He runs a ghost hunting group, and he was telling me they were doing a stakeout one night, and he got slapped across the face by an unseen entity, which I think is that would certainly give me a cause to try to change careers. But I thought that was interesting. He's gotten a lot of videos or audio evidence of voices in conversation in haunted rooms, which I find to be really interesting too. But the ghosts are not like you see in Hollywood, where they jump out at you and they scream and yell and there's a lot of things going on. They're very subtle, and they're more like an energy that you feel than something that you necessarily see with your eyes.
So do you
I think that's the biggest misconception people have about them.
So do you think Hollywood does things in order to have it more interesting than it really is?
Well, I think they're certainly trying to make it more frightening. That's why people are so often afraid of ghosts or the paranormal, because of what they see in Hollywood. You get The Ring,
right,
and some of these other movies where you have this very spooky sort of in world. But most ghosts really are not scary. They're not trying to frighten you. They're just lost. Just think of how you would feel just if you encountered someone on the street that you didn't know. They're no different than that. They're just people that no longer have bodies. But Hollywood takes that to a great extreme, and I think it ruins it for a lot of people.
Do you believe that the paranormal can be explained scientifically, or are they just inherently spiritual?
Well, I personally believe that there really is no spiritual realm. I think everything exists in the material world, except that it's outside of our ability to sense it. Just like there are audio frequencies that you can't hear and light waves that you can't see. I think that these entities exist around us, but we just can't perceive them. We just don't have the means to do so. And so when you talk about the spiritual, it's really not another world as much as it is just a different vibrational level. And that's what people are feeling when they feel these things around them. They're actually feeling that vibrational level. But as far as science ever proving it, I think that they're getting close to acknowledging that there's an element of our consciousness that may well exist beyond death. They just wouldn't call it a ghost, of course. That would be unscientific. But I think they're getting close to coming to a conclusion like that.
You know, one of your book focuses on what happens after we die. What do you believe awaits us when we do die?
Well, from what I have been able to glean from mediums and near-death experiences and things like that, I believe that we actually, unless we're stuck in the earth plane as a ghost for some reason, I think that we move on to something like a life review, where we look over we get kind of a movie of our whole life to see how we lived it, what we learned from it. It's not Judgment Day or anything like that. It's just both the good and the bad. You know, you get to see how your decisions affected other people. You get to see what you were trying to learn in this particular lifetime. And then I think from there you have an opportunity to plan out maybe a next incarnation, what lessons you'd like to learn. Or you can maybe move on to other spiritual planes and explore those. You might even come back as a guide to help others. So I think there's a smorgasbord of different options out there after you die, and I think all of them are about growth and wholeness.
Exonation, our guest this hour is Jeff Danilek. His website is ourcuriousworld.com. And Jeff and I will be back after this short break as the X Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell. So whatever you do, don't go away, because we'll be right back.
In the silence of the night where shadows softly play, a voice emerges gently, guiding minds astray. Rob McConnell calls to us from a realm unseen. The X-Zone beckons softly, where dreams blend with the keen. In the whispers of the cosmos, where the truth collides with lies, he crafts a tapestry of stories beneath an endless sky. In over 35 years of tales that twist and turn, each word a flicker sparking fires, igniting hearts that yearn. Dare to believe he softly pleads in this place divine, where fact is just a mirror and reality unwinds. In the X-Zone, oh, we dare to dream through ethereal echoes, unraveling the scene. Rob McConnell's voice guides us in the night so clear, a voyager to the unknown where every soul can hear. Some days I walk, some days I crawl, some days I can't feel much at all. My body's a maze that I try to read. Every step forward, a silent need. But I won't let this break who I am. I've learned how to fight, learned how to stand. I may fall, but still I rise. Through the pain, through the tears in my eyes. This road is long, but it's mine to tread. With every sun
Welcome back, everyone. Jeff Danilek is our special guest this hour. www.ourcuriousworld.com. Jeff, how do reports of near-death experiences support or challenge your views on the afterlife?
Well, what they actually do is sort of reinforce my views that I've had for a long time. I've always believed in life after death, even when I was a kid. So there's never been a time when I questioned that. But there hasn't really been a lot of near-death experience reports until really the 70s, 80s. They started coming out. Now, of course, they're all over the place. So they just tend to reinforce kind of what I've always believed. What I find interesting about them is that they seem to be so dictated by your culture. For example, if you are a Christian, you're likely to encounter Jesus on the other side. If you're a Muslim, you'll encounter Muhammad. If you're an atheist, you might just have this being of light or something like that. So it seems like you're almost creating your own reality on the other side based upon what's most comfortable to you. So it's like consciousness itself is actually able to set the stage that you're going to experience. That's why some people even experience hell for a short time on the other side, because that's what they expect to experience until they get pulled out of it. It's fascinating to me.
It is. It truly is. And what I've noticed over the years of doing this show, Jeff, is that more and more people are coming forward and talking about their near-death experiences. And there's a lot of commonality when it comes to the reporting. And like you said, in my experience talking to these people, it depends on the religious philosophy that you believe in.
Yeah, that's what's most interesting about it. There's a thought in New Age thought that consciousness actually creates matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true both in the material realm and on the spiritual realm, except in the spiritual side, it creates things quicker, more instantaneous. So I really do believe that consciousness is what's actually dictating all of this. And to me, that's the most interesting part of this. Some people discount near-death experiences because of that. They think that this unique experience that each person has discounts it. They think it should be like a one-size-fits-all kind of experience, but it's not. It's unique to each person.
Not only are more people coming forward who talk about their near-death experiences, but a lot of members of the medical community itself are coming forward. You've got the ER nurses, the surgeons, and they're coming out with the stories. And I think that one of the most classic openings for any story that has the smallest shred of evidence that goes along with it is when a member of the medical community says, "You're not going to believe this, but..."
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with the story of Ibn Alexander. He was a neuroscientist who had some kind of a brain disease, and he was out. I mean, he was flatlined for days almost, while he was still being kept alive through an incubator.
Mm-hmm.
But he had no real brain activity at all, and he had this extraordinarily sophisticated near-death experience. And he came out. I mean, he started going into this as a skeptic. He was a pure materialist. He came out and he has a book out, a number of books about his experience, which is interesting because it's written from the perspective of a neuroscientist or a neurosurgeon.
Who's actually having the
really
experience. Yeah. The neuroscientist who's actually having the experience.
Yeah, the neurosurgeon was the guy who was actually having the experience, and he came out of it, and he's completely changed. He's gone on the road all over the world talking about these experiences. It's really a fascinating book because he was such a skeptic to begin with, and he understood how the brain, once it loses oxygen and all that stuff, how it has hallucinations and the endorphin release and all these things. That's the standard explanation for this stuff. But in his case, he said, I just didn't have any brain activity to have any of these experiences. And that's what was so fascinating to him and why he's such a strong proponent of this whole idea.
Jeff, what are your thoughts on the current state of the UFO phenomenon, the disclosure of UFOs by the government? Have you seen any changes, pro or con, when it comes to the investigation into UFOs?
Well, now it's not UFOs anymore. Now it's what
UAPs, yeah.
UAPs, yeah. And I think that the government doesn't really know what to do with it. They have these experiences with their military aircraft and things, and they don't know how to explain it. I think they're just trying to put this stuff out here and see what happens. I don't believe that the government has like recovered craft or alien bodies and all this stuff, which is very popular in the UFO community. But I do think that they know a lot more about it than they're releasing. But I just don't know if they have really an idea of what to do with it. It's not just our government; it's other governments all over the world who probably have more experience than they care to talk about. And that's just the nature of the military too, and the government in general. Is everything's very secret unless you have a need to know. But I do see it changing a little bit. I think it's becoming a subject that is not as ridiculous to talk about as it used to be. People can now come forward, airline pilots and military pilots, and they can tell what they see, and it's not as like they're not going to be laughed out of the room as much as they used to.
And of course, we're seeing with the congressional hearings that have happened a couple of times so far that even Congress is taking it a little bit more serious than they've had in the past. But I look at the witnesses that they're bringing forward, and I cannot understand why the witnesses that are coming forth are the witnesses that really do not have the experiences to go along with what they're being a quote-unquote whistleblower about. Where you have so many people within the UFO community, for example, like Kevin Randall, Don Schmidt, who have done years and years and years of research that it seems they're being ignored because they may have the ability to bring forth evidence that are not as controlled as the other witnesses that the government brings forward, because they're either part of the military or any other member of the alphabet soup that is out there in Washington.
Well, yeah, I think it's you do. The government's always been big about controlling information, and so they do want to keep that ability. So you get civilians who are not really part of it. It can be much more difficult. The problem seems to be you never really find the smoking gun. There's things pointing to it, but then when you start looking and trying to unravel that, you just find another mystery, and it leads you off in another direction, and then you find another one. You never quite get to the hard evidence, and that's what's so frustrating about it. And then you've got people out there who are into, Roswell and alien bodies and all this stuff, and that tends to diminish the science of ufology, I think, because I think there's some real hard science out there, but it's getting kind of masked a little bit by the more sensational aspects of the field, and I think that's a real tragedy.
And then we're seeing the same thing happen in ufology that we were talking about when it comes to ghost and other aspects of the paranormal, where Hollywood, I believe, is doing more of a disservice with all the special effects and all the allegations that are being proposed by people who claim to have had these experiences. And even when it comes to the congressional hearings with David Grush, everything was supposed to have this wow moment that would be coming up, and that, the smoking gun was going to be actually presented to the congressional hearing, and nothing.
Yeah.
It's all hearsay.
That's what's so frustrating about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just... I think there's something going on out there. I think there's people who have a lot of knowledge about this that are keeping it to themselves for various reasons. But, put it from the perspective, look at it from the perspective of a government official or a military general. If you have this information, what can you really do with it? Even if you are fairly certain that you're dealing with extraterrestrials, where do you go with it? How do you present it to the public? How does the public take it? So there's a lot of elements to it that needs to be put together in just the right way, or else it's going to really be a problem.
Based on your experience and the books that you've written on UFOs and other aspects of ET interventions, in your opinion, what is the strongest case or evidence that suggests that we're not alone?
Well, I do think that the Tic Tac videos that were released by the government is very compelling, largely because this has not only a visual record, but you also have radar records. And a lot of times when there's a UFO encounter, you don't really get that radar signature. For some reason, they don't paint on radar. So that, to me, was very interesting, because these are people that are used to dealing with a lot of different aerial phenomena, and if they can't figure out what it is, then it seems to give it a lot of credibility. So I think the strongest evidence right now is some of the Tic Tac video shot by fighter planes off the USS Nimitz back in a few years ago.
You and I have to take our break at the bottom of the hour, so please stand by, Jeff. And Exonation, if you'd like to find out about the books that Jeff has written and are for sale, and if you want to spend a lot of quality time going through a website that is just filled with information, visit www.ourcuriousworld.com. And Jeff and I will be back on the other side of this break as the Exxon continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios here in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, which is part of the Great Niagara region. And you're listening to us on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Exxon Broadcast Network, and on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJ AM, here in St. Catharines. So whatever you do, don't go away, because my good friend Jeff Danilick and I will be back.
I try to read every step forward, a silent need, but I won't let this break who I am. I've learned how to fight, learned how to stand. I may fall, but still I rise. Through the pain, through the tears. In story, in a world where shadows dance and dreams take flight, through the veil of reality into the night, Rob McConnell leads the way, a beacon so bright. With over 35 years, he ignites the light. A voice from the north where whispers are bold, stories untold in the echoes of old. Fact meets fiction in this realm of delight, in the X zone where dark turns to bright. Welcome to the X Zone, believe and be free, a sanctuary for truth that dare to be seen, where the line between realms gently blurs, in a symphony of voices the mind stirs. With Rob McConnell, stories unfold, tales of the unknown that shimmer like gold. Every guest a new chapter, with eyes open wide. In this vast tapestry, there's nowhere to hide. Aliens and hauntings, the secrets of time. Each moment a journey, sublime and prime, where skeptics and dreamers alike share their truth. In the heart of the cosmos, embracing our youth. Fact is fiction and fiction is real. In the X Zone, it's the power to feel. Welcome to the X Zone, believe and be free, a sanctuary for truth that dare to be seen, where the line between realms gently blurs, in a symphony of voices the mind stirs. With Rob McConnell, stories unfold, tales of the unknown that shimmer like gold.
Exonation, our guest this hour is Jeff Danilick. His website is ourcuriousworld.com. Jeff, what are some of the most compelling theories you've explored about Atlantis and other lost civilizations?
Well, I am convinced that we have had civilization prior to the Ice Age. I think that 20, 30 1,000 years ago, I believe that there were levels of civilization, not to the level that we are today, but I do believe that there probably were city-states and things like that existed tens of thousands of years ago. We're just starting to find out a little bit about how old civilization is. There's a theory out there that we've been on this planet for, 200,000 years, human beings, and we only became civilized in the last 5,000? It just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. But what about the other...
So I was thinking... Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, my theory about Atlantis is that it really wasn't a place per se. It's more of a metaphor for these early civilizations. I think it's like a memory, a genetic memory that we have of these people that lived long ago that we call Atlantis today, but that's not really the name of the place. It's just kind of a metaphor that we've used for it. And I think that's really what the whole basis for the Atlantis legend is.
But what about other lost civilizations, like the inner Earth theory? Any semblance of possibilities when it comes to the inner world theory? And then you still have people who swear up and down that the world is flat.
Yeah, I mean, there's some rabbit holes that you can go down to if you're not careful. And some of these people are very passionate about this. And if you challenge them on it, they will, basically kill you. But, I think that you got to be careful when you're dealing with subjects like this, that you try to keep an even keel, because it is really easy to get caught up and kind of fall into, like I said, a rabbit hole where you can't come out of. So it's a balancing act all the time.
Do you think that ancient cultures had contact with advanced beings or extraterrestrials, that there is somewhere some proof that we weren't the first on this planet, and I don't think we're going to be the last either?
Yeah, I think that there's a good chance that extraterrestrials have at least observed us in the past. They still are today. They may have actually tried to interact with humans in the distant past. I don't have a problem with that. There's obviously no proof of it. But I wouldn't at all be surprised, because I think that's what we would do if we were a spacefaring race. I think we would go to these different planets and we would study the occupants and see how they got there and what they're doing. And I suspect that's what they're doing to us. Now, whether they've actually given us like technologies and things like that in the past, I'm kind of unsure of it. I mean, it sounds irresponsible to do that, but it's always possible. I'm always open to looking at the evidence.
Yeah, there's three sides to every story: his side, her side, and the truth. How do you distinguish between myths and possible historical fact when researching ancient mysteries?
Well, the first thing you got to look is the how prevalent is it? How consistent are these stories? Are they written down, and how long have they been there? You also want to look at it from a logical standpoint. What could really be possible? We know that the Earth couldn't be flat. We've already proven that. So at that point, you can just move on to the next one. But there are sometimes you have to think, like, for example, with Bigfoot. This is not something which is beyond the realm of possibility. It's not so out there that it's impossible. So those, when you get something like that, then it's a little bit easier to look at it critically than it is when you get something that just doesn't make sense scientifically, or that ignores the laws of physics, things like that.
And yet here we are all those years later with no empirical proof that Bigfoot does exist.
Well, not empirical, no, but I think that eyewitness evidence is not worthless. I think that you have to take that into account.
Right.
But I do believe that we're getting better and better about this. I think if we ever do catch Bigfoot, he'll be caught by a drone. If you could ever get a drone that was whisper silent, I think that's the only way you're ever going to find him.
How do you approach topics that might border on conspiracy without falling into the sensationalistic aspects of most conspiracy theories out there, Jeff?
Well, I've always been skeptical of conspiracies. I'm always the guy who's like is always trying to find the holes in it. And they're usually not that hard to do because they're not normally put together that well. Once in a while they are, but by and large, I discovered that most conspiracy theories, if you ask a couple of the right questions, they fall apart pretty fast. But I guess I'm just built that way, where I was always kind of a skeptic, even though I believe in this stuff. I also am always very leery when people tell me anything that happened to them without some kind of, if not evidence, at least the confidence that they are telling me something true.
What's one conspiracy theory, Jeff, that you believe deserves more attention or credibility?
I've never had anyone ask me that before. Boy, I guess if it's possible that there is a large number of people that are working to maybe destabilize different governments. That kind of a thing where there would be people who want to, for control purposes, they're actually trying to destabilize democracies. They may not be working as one, but they have the same goals. And so I think there might be that kind of a thing going on. Not necessarily like an Illuminati or something like that, but certainly people of power and wealth who have an agenda that they're trying to pursue that could be very dangerous.
Well, what's that one conspiracy theory that you believe? Let me rephrase that question. Do you ever find yourself debunking myths that are popular in the paranormal community?
Well, if you're talking like the flat Earth and stuff like that, I honestly don't spend a lot of time with them. If something to me doesn't seem like it's reasonable, I don't try to talk people out of it. I just like, that's fine if you want to believe that. I just don't see it. I'm more interested in, like, for example, debunking, say, the second gunman conspiracy on JFK assassination, things like that. I find that to be easier to do and more useful. But I just let people believe what they want to believe, and as long as they don't try to push it on me, I'm fine with it.
In your book, let me see what's the data. What you don't know about angels, demons, and the afterlife. What are some of the biggest misconceptions you wanted to correct?
Well, in my book, The Paranormal Perspectives, A Secular Look at God and the Afterlife, I take the position that there isn't really a personal God, so there wouldn't be like angels that were created by God specifically as messengers. So you wouldn't necessarily have fallen demons or fallen angels. I still believe that there are energies out there that are both benevolent and malevolent that we would probably classify as angels and demons, but I don't see them as existing in the context of Christianity or Judaism as fallen angels. So that's one of the biggest misconceptions I think people have, is they tend to see this hierarchy of light and dark in battle with each other. And though there are these things out there, I don't think that they're really coordinating their efforts or they're really trying to do anything specific. They're just kind of out there.
So would it be fair to say that you think that angels and demons exist as literal beings or metaphorical forces?
I think they're actual disembodied personalities or consciousness. Some of them are high vibrational, and they're very, what you would call powerful, spiritually powerful. Some of them, I think, are here to help us in our spiritual evolution. Others, I think, are just trying to pick up on negative energy for their own sustenance. But I do think that they are actual, I wouldn't call them souls, but I would call them energetic entities, both good and bad.
So how do you reconcile traditional Christian theology with paranormal experiences then?
Well, honestly, I don't really. I think that Christianity, like a lot of different faith structures, is largely a man-made religion. There are some elements to it that are very helpful or very useful, but I think most of it's a mythology. So I don't really see that it's necessary to hold on to the concept of God or a personal God or a particular religion in order to understand the paranormal. I think it's two separate things. They're not like synonymous.
Right.
So a person could be a complete atheist and still believe in an afterlife.
True.
You know,
You and I have to take
it's
our
not
final.
really either or.
You and I have to take our final break for this hour, Jeff. As always, it's great having you with us. When we come back, I'd like to talk to you more about your writing, the research that you do, and talk about more of the great books that you have out there. Explanation, our guest this hour is Jeff Danilek, OurCuriousWorld.com. This is The X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue investigating the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and on your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM. Don't go away.
A beacon so bright with over 35 years, he ignites the light. A voice from the north where whispers are bold, stories untold in the echoes of old. Fact meets fiction in this realm of delight, in the X Zone where dark turns to bright. Welcome to the X Zone, believe and be free, a sanctuary for... In the heart of the night, where the shadows play, on the X Zone we gather, come what may. With Rob McConnell guiding us through the dark, searching for truth hidden, igniting the spark. Whispers of spirits, both gentle and bold, tales of the ancients in the stories retold. From haunted old houses to the echoing halls, we seek the unknown where the mystery calls. On the X-Zone Radio, where the truth finds a way through the stories of ghosts that wander and sway, inviting the seekers, the wise and the brave. Join us each episode, let the curious say, with voices like Larry.
And welcome back, everyone. Our guest this hour is Jeff Danilek. His website is OurCuriousWorld.com. Jeff, tell me about your YouTube channel and the YouTubes you've got out there.
Yeah, well, about 3 or 4 months ago, I was sort of told by my spirit guide that I need to set up a YouTube video a channel.
Mm-hmm.
And up to that point, I had no interest in doing this. I thought this is a waste of time, but my guide was pretty insistent that I do this. So, what it's about is it's kind of like my website. It's Our Curious World, and I talk about different mysteries. It may not be paranormal. Some of it's like I have one about Amelia Earhart.
Mm-hmm.
Was she a spy? I talk about whether you can really reverse engineer alien technology. So they're all kind of different subjects all over the place. Whatever just kind of hits me, I go with. And it's been a lot of fun doing it. It's a lot of work, but learning all the video editing and everything, it's been kind of a real trip to do it. And I just put it up there and hope that people enjoy it at some point.
Now, you're telling us about one of your books that is coming out. What about the second book?
Well, Lou Ellen, out of Minneapolis, was my original publisher back
Mm-hmm.
years ago when I first started writing. And I queried them and I said, would you like to do an update on one of my earlier books? They're all out of print now. And they said, yeah, let's do the ghost book. I had the case for ghosts. And so they let me expand it, got a different title for it. Now it's going to call The Mysterious World of Ghosts, an objective look at the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's expanded, revised version that goes into a lot more detail about the afterlife, what kind of things happen there. what ghosts are, how you become a ghost, how you can avoid becoming one, and just things like talk about demons and all the different instruments that are used to look for ghosts. So it's been a lot of fun. I really appreciate them letting me do that.
How real is the demonic side of the paranormal?
I believe that there are energies out there that they basically feed off negative energy, which is really fear. So they're trying to frighten you, and that's what they're feeding off of. I think they are real, and I don't think that they're like all over the place, but I do believe if you start putting yourself into a place where you're letting them into your life, maybe you're messing with a Ouija board or something like that, or tarot cards, and you don't know what you're doing, and you really don't have the spiritual maturity to handle it, I think you can end up bringing these entities into your home. That's where you get some of your poltergeist activity, things like that. So I think it's something to be not afraid of, but aware of, so that you don't, play with this stuff if you don't really know what you're doing.
What about Ouija boards? There's been a lot of controversy over the years when it comes to Ouija boards. What is your personal opinion?
Well, I do think that most of the time when people are playing with Ouija boards, they're just kind of fooling around. They're not really doing anything paranormal. There's what's called this autonomic reflexes, where you tend to move things without really realizing you're moving them.
Right.
So it's kind of fun where you can kind of make it say things. But there are cases in which people have used Ouija boards to contact spirits that have been really interesting. There's a woman back in the 1910s named Kiran she was working with Ouija boards, and she contacted this woman named Patience Worth, who turned out to be an author, like a 17th century English author, and she wrote several books through the Ouija board. She got the books through the Ouija board and wrote them out and actually had them published. And this woman did not have any writing credentials or skills herself, but she was writing best-selling books back in the 1920s that were apparently she got off a Ouija board.
What's your take?
Might be something to it.
There might be. A lot of people, once again, are opening up and saying that, especially authors, are saying that they're getting a lot of the information on books that they've started taking an interest in the topic that they've never had the interest in a topic before. For example, let's say multiverses. That seems to be channeled down to them. Have you had such an experience in your own writing?
Well, actually, most of my books on the paranormal, I feel, are not channeled specifically, but they're inspired.
Okay.
Like when I'll be writing on them, all of a sudden thoughts will occur to me, ideas I hadn't thought of before. So, yeah, I actually do believe that there are spirit guides that will help you with this stuff if you want them to. You have to open yourself to their energy, but they will lead you to do that. I mean, this last book I wrote, the one about the secular guide to God and the paranormal, was the spirit guide just says, "Here, I got a book for you to write," and I basically just listened to what it told me and put it together. I still had to do the heavy lifting,
right,
and all the writing and everything, and the punctuation and everything. But the ideas it was giving me was kind of outside of myself. It just kind of flowed that way. It was really interesting.
What is your research process like when preparing a book or an article on a mysterious topic?
Well, a lot of it is instinctual, and then I'll use my research is to just confirm that if I use an example of something to illustrate a point, I do the research to make sure that is correct, that I got the right information, the right name, the right date, and everything like that. So I do that kind of research. But in terms of, what happens in the afterlife, a lot of this is just intuitive. So there's no research until I get to the latter parts of the writing process where I need to make sure that the information that I do include in there is accurate. But it's really a kind of an easy flowing project. It just kind of almost does itself sometimes.
Really? How do you balance critical thinking with an open mind when exploring the unknown?
Well, I think it's vital that you actually put both hemispheres together. So you're working from the intuitive side of yourself as well as the logical side. And that's really the only way you can do, because if you go too far one way or the other, you either become like a skeptic or a cynic, or you believe everything, which isn't good either. So you want to kind of have both halves of the brain working when you're doing this kind of stuff. But I've never really found a conflict between it. There's times when I will question something and look it up and see if it really happened, and sometimes find out that a story that I heard years ago wasn't really true. And then I just, take that out of my my thoughts and then move on to the next one.
Have you ever had a personal paranormal or unexplained experience?
I had a experience with what I don't know if you would call this a UFO, but I was one time I saw a series of orbs that were spinning in a circular pattern about 50 feet over my head. And they would get really bright when they were on the left side of the circle, and then they would completely disappear on the right side. They'd spin around. Probably it lasted 30, 45 seconds. And my thought was it was some kind of a demonstration, because I was actually at a UFO conference, and we were outside taking a break in the middle of it. And when we saw this thing, it's almost like it was trying to show that there's something to this stuff in a very subtle way. I just wish I'd filmed it. It never occurred to me at the time to get a picture of it. But it was a really interesting experience. It's on my website, by the way, that I have more detail if people are interested.
What projects are you currently working on, Jeff? And what can readers expect next from you?
Well, like I said, I got the 2 books under contract. They're just about done, the one on the ghosts and the one on secular look at God. Those are the 2 things I'm finishing up now. The next thing I'm looking at doing, I might look into some of the problems I see inherent with the New Age movement. Even though I'm kind of a New Ager myself, there's certain things I see about it that I think people need to think about a little bit before embracing it. So I might go in that direction next and kind of go down that alley and see what I find out.
If you could definitively, wow, talk about a screwed up word. Yeah. Answer just one mystery of the universe, which would it be and why?
Oh, man, that's an outstanding question. There's so many of them. I guess I would like to have science confirm post-mortem existence. I think if you could really confirm that from an empirical standpoint, I think it would change, you think about it, would change culture, it would change religion. Everything would be different after that. If it was definitely proven that there's life after death, it's going to make, it would transform the world. I really believe it.
You know, Jeff, I've had the pleasure of knowing you for a number of years. And it's always great having you on the show. First of all, thank you for the great work that you do. And, when reading your books, Jeff, you always leave a little bit open just to the realm of the possibility, pro or con. So I really enjoy that about your books. Now, what message would you like to leave for our listeners who are curious, skeptical, or afraid of the unknown?
Well, I would say don't be afraid to explore these things. There's a lot of stuff out there. Some people feel it's kind of goofy or it's woo-woo and they don't want to get involved with it. But I really will tell you that I have discovered so much about myself, about the world around me, that I'm so glad that I have explored these things. I don't believe everything I read, but certainly what I have come across has had a hugely transformative effect on my life. And I think it would on yours.
Jeff, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Great pleasure having you. Please, let's get you back on in the near future instead of the years that seem to slip by between the times that we do have you back on.
Yeah, I look forward to it too, Rod.
Great having you. Thank you so much for all you do, Jeff. And Exonation, if you'd like to get more information about our guest this hour, Jeff Danilick, visit ourcuriousworld.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X-Zone starts, hour number 2, right here, right now, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJ AM, right here in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. The hour number 2 starts right now.
He gave us the stories, the wisdom, the proof. Here's to the voice that never backed down. A dreamer, a doer, the heart of this town. With a mic in his hand and stars in his eyes, he lifted the world with each truth he'd surprise. This is our song, our standing ovation. Ode to Rob McConnell, pride of a nation.